Whalen.
Right now it is 36 in Falls Church, 32 in Aspen Hill, 38 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us.
President Trump, very busy again yesterday and last night. The man does not sleep. He's doing stuff. He had a big event with coal miners yesterday at the White House, and then the National Republican campaign, yada, yada. And a lot of big stuff going on. President Trump has to come out on top of all this. It's big. You can say it's a big gamble. It's a big negotiation is what it is. And there's a lot of talk. The Democrats, they really want to see economic catastrophe in the United States because, well, that would be good for them, for the Democrats. What's bad for America is, once again, good for the Democrat Party. Womp, womp, womp. Yes, sir. We've got a lot going on in Capitol Hill, Washington. Washington, D.C. shouldn't be occupying this much of our time in the United States of America, but that's certainly where we are right now. And some follow-up on a couple of things we were talking about yesterday, too, about the would-be assassin that was grabbed outside of Brett Kavanaugh's house who wanted to assassinate 3 Supreme Court justices. He is, what have we determined about him? Oh, he's a Democrat. Now I remember. He's a Democrat, and he had a plan, and he was plotting, just madness, plotting to kill 3 United States Supreme Court justices, and I'm sure the Democrats got an absentee ballot to him in prison because they know the prison vote is pretty much a lock for the Democrat Party. The incarcerated people, they just call them voters. They're just voters for the Democrats. We got that. And a bit of an update also on the guy that wanted to, was nabbed, trying to assassinate President Trump, not Supreme Court justices, a different assassination plot by a different Democrat. And this guy was plotting with a Ukrainian guy trying to get a rocket-propelled grenade or even a surface-to-air shoulder-launched missile, a Stinger missile, to shoot down President Trump's airplane, Trump Force One, his private Boeing 757 with the name Trump on the side. I think Trump derangement syndrome is, it's a dangerous malady. There's no doubt about it. The Democrat Party, party of presidential assassinations and terrorism and all that stuff, they're really on a tear these days. They're really some. We've got a bunch of that. But President Trump, he was with the Republicans last night, and he was with coal miners yesterday. And a lot of good stuff and funny stuff out of this because he's funny. And the funnier he is, the crazier the Democrat Party gets. And I'm not sure how much crazier they can get, quite honestly, because they're pretty crazy. Stop firebombing things, all right? Stop shooting people, Democrat Party. At what point, I asked the question yesterday, at what point do we declare the Democrat Party to be a terrorist organization? How many people do you have to shoot? How many places do you have to bomb? How many suicide attacks do your people have to launch? Murderous, insane suicide attacks. Just amazing stuff, I got to tell you. But we've got that coming up. Now, the headlines from yesterday, the Associated Press, Trump disrupts global economic order, even though the U.S. is dominant. That's the Associated Press headline. He disrupts the globe. I think it needed some disruption. It needed disrupting the trade imbalances that the United States has with country after country. Have you seen the list? The you've got to scroll on the TV screen. You got to run like a minute-long scroll of all of the countries with which the United States has terrible, awful trade agreements where we come out on the losing end of everything, and that's bad for everyone in the United States of America. Also, we got another story out of California. The Democrats, they love their illegal aliens, and they've got sexual issues with children. There's no doubt about that. I think, is it everyone in the Democrat Party, Michael, or is it just most of them? We're going to have to take a poll, maybe a scientific survey. Amazing stuff. But we've got another story, this time out of California, an illegal alien, a man who's an illegal alien, who apparently is a career gay child molester, and Democrats love that. That's one of their areas that, hey, like gender queer in school for the little boys. Hey, let's bring it into the kindergarten class. You people are mental. Is that okay to say that they're mental? Suffering from mental little personism. It used to be dwarfism, but that's not considered to be. They're mental midgets. You can't say that though, unless you're talking about the little automobile, the MG midget. Then I think you can still say, but remarkable stuff. So an illegal alien in California who has a history of molesting little boys. And you know what the Democrats did? They gave him a job as a soccer coach for a boys' team. And now he's been arrested. This day he's been arrested before, and he's been accused before. And the Democrats didn't deport him. They didn't. They just kind of, oh, that's okay. You know, we all do it. And now he's murdered a little boy after sexually abusing him. And that's the Democrat Party kind of in a nutshell. How did they get into that nutshell? Pretty amazing stuff. That's an amazing story. I'll update you on that because the Democrats really, there's something terribly wrong with them. Very, very wrong. We've got another judge intervening the Trump White House on whether the Trump White House can decide which news organizations have the highest privileges in the White House to be, hey, come on into the Oval Office. We got the president here for, hey, come on, Air Force One. You can, you're in the travel pool and the type pool. You know, they pool their resources there sometimes. Whether the Associated Press can do it because they've kind of established themselves as a political organization, foolishly. They've stepped in it again and again. And we've got a judge that has intervened on that front with no regard for what the history, you don't have to go back very far in history, just to the Biden administration, excluding press organizations like the New York Post, for example, because they were reporting true, accurate, factual information about Hunter Biden's laptop and the Biden family and the big guy and 10% cut to the big guy. And the New York Post breaking news about the Biden family, which is a very corrupt political family. And the Biden White House excluded and froze out the New York Post. And the rest of the media was basically fine with that because they figure the New York Post is not their newspaper. So they're fine. They're not defenders of the First Amendment. They're defenders of the Democratic Party. So I've got a story on another judge. It's an immigration judge intervening on, that's not the immigration judge. That's a different one. But we've got another immigration judge today, too. Amazing stuff. And President Trump and China in where they're communists and they have about 1 billion slaves that they beat with whips and knock the children to the ground and force them to make your iPhone for you because we pay less. Say, sure, slavery leads to less expensive goods on our grocery store shelves and at the Apple store. That's for sure. And now Trump tariffs. China hits back. The communists with their slaves. China hits back by raising tariff on U.S. goods to 84% after Trump's reciprocal duties take effect. President Trump is now talking about tariffs on communist China of 104%. 100 was not enough, so 104%. I've got to say, my best girl and I, we comment frequently. It's a regular conversation. Anything you buy, go to the hardware store, go to the furniture store, go to the clothing store. Pretty much everywhere you go, and we go, like, for example, at the Chris Plant store on Al Gore's amazing internet. Work with our great friend Randy Lefebvre, And we sell T-shirts and coffee mugs, and they're wonderful. You should go to the Chris Plant store on Al Gore's Amazing Internet. Peace be upon him. And get your Remember Normal T-shirt or coffee mug and all kinds of good regular American stuff. But one of the things we won't do is use anything made in China. We won't sell you T-shirts made in communist China. We won't sell you coffee mugs made in communist China. We have a prohibition, self-imposed, that we don't want to use slave labor to drive the prices down on anything that we sell at the Chris Plant store on Al Gore's Amazing Internet, because slavery is bad. I'm against slavery. The Democrat Party, being the party of historical slavery in the United States of America, they're fine with little Chinese children working their fingers to the bone under bridges late at night, being rained on to make you a pair of gym shoes with a Nike swoosh on it, because LeBron James, loves the slave labor. He loves slavery because it helps put money in his pocket with which he can buy fuel for his jet, because it's different being on the left. Very, very different indeed. So President Trump battling the communist Chinese who have been fleecing us and ripping us off in myriad ways for a long, long time. And I've got updates for you on that as well. Also, the Democrat Senator Mark Warner. Isn't he like a billionaire? He's worth $300 million or something like that, Mark Warner. It's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Defends Australia. That Australia won't buy American beef, for example, for steaks and burgers and things. And Democrat Senator, this headline says, U.S. Senator Mark Warner defends Australia in heated debate with Jamieson Greer as Donald Trump's trade war continues. They don't mention he's a Democrat who is defending the Democrat Party. And yeah, of course, we shouldn't have fair trade with Australia. What are they, friends of ours or something? So a little back and forth in Capitol Hill during a hearing yesterday. And we got some of that for you coming up. Amazing stuff. And President Trump to sign executive orders to help dying U.S. coal industry. You know why the U.S. coal industry is dying? Because the Democrat Party is choking it to death. That's the Democrat Party. They're saving the world. They're slowing the rise of the oceans. Except they're not saving the world. They're endangering the world. And they're not slowing the rise of the oceans. I expect if the Democrats' goal is to slow the rise of the oceans, that they will actually increase the rate of rise in the oceans around the world, because they produce the opposite of their stated results, whether they are their intended results or not. They're an amazing bunch. They certainly are. Yes, they're defending illegal aliens until they kill. And then they shrug and they say, well, I don't know, I'm going to Starbucks. Whatever, don't worry about that. So little boys are being sexually assaulted and murdered by illegal aliens. The Democrats, they're fine with that. No problem. So we've got all kinds of good stuff and a couple of updates from yesterday too. Yes, sir. And the news media battling, and then IRS chief, the Internal Revenue Service. Everybody loves them, especially tax season coming up. IRS chief quits after Doge and Trump immigration officials rampage through agency. Oh no! You want to find out if illegal aliens are dodging taxes? And well, how do illegal aliens pay taxes? Well, they get jobs and they get paychecks, and there's withholding in the paychecks. And the Doge people would like to find out about that, but these militant, lunatic, permanent bureaucracy types, they will defend everything illegal and will never defend or do the right thing by the United States of America or by American taxpayers. Absolutely kooky. I'm telling you, they're creepy and they're kooky. Altogether ooky. Yes, sir. And I like this one, too. The Department of Homeland Security yesterday revoked parole, that's what the Democrats called it under Biden, for hundreds of thousands who entered the United States by way of a Customs Border Protection. They call it the CBP-1 app, because the Democrats, they went down to Central America and taught people, gave them flyers and stuff. Here's how you download the app. They're suffering, but they've got iPhones. And here's how you download the BP1 app, so you can get into the United States. And Biden will give you parole by the hundreds of thousands, maybe more than 1 million. And the Trump administration said that was a lot of bourgeois. We're going to cancel that. You know, the Democrats love to cancel sane things like women and children. You know, when they say women and children first, it has a totally different meaning than it used to have. Very, very different indeed. Also, Dan Bongino, our friend Dan Bongino, Deputy Director at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, has now been assigned a bodyguard detail, the likes of which few government officials see. And the reason is so many Democrats are threatening to murder Dan Bongino that he needs a giant security detail because the left is here and they are the third world. They bring with them the third world. Got a new military budget, and it's bigger than ever. That's kind of interesting. And I got an AOC update for you, too. We're at 888-630-9625.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. So watch for delays Beltway through Bethesda. The 3-car crash, outer loop between Old Georgetown Road and 270. They stopped all traffic to move those vehicles over to the right shoulder. Your lanes are now open. Still below speed, outer loop into Silver Spring. Haven't quite finished the rush hour there. Beltway through Annandale and Tyson's, pockets of delays. Across the 14th Street Bridge, heavy on the Teddy Roosevelt Bridge and the Key Bridges into town. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny and milder today with a high of 55. Increasing clouds tonight, not as cold, low 40.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Hey y'all, it's Caitlin and Kane Brown here with Wayfair. As a growing family, one of our favorite things is Game Night Wayfair Edition.
Let's do it. You got to name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting Wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hackers don't need much. Just one leaked password can potentially unlock a treasure trove of personal information, leading to stress, pain, and permanently wreck credit. Don't be an easy target. Get protection by Aura today. Aura protects your identity, finances, and family, all in one powerful app. Get real-time alerts, safeguard your accounts, and block scams before they happen. If identity theft strikes, we help you recover. Stay protected at aura.com/stream. That's AURA.com/stream.
Pay rent with Built to earn flexible transferable points and unlock exclusive benefits. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. When you pay rent through Built, you unlock 2 powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month. No matter where you live or who your landlord is, your rent now works for you. Second, you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Built's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, free mats or towels at your favorite fitness studios, and unique experiences that only Built members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Built points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying rent through Built and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbuilt.com/WWO. That's JOINBILT.com/WWO. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/WWO to sign up for Built today.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Vince Colonnese is redefining news talk with The Vince Show.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'm bringing you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. We feature news-making interviews with the top guests on the whole planet. I'll ask the questions you only dream of other interviewers asking. Do you like being informed, engaged, and entertained? Good. You are going to love Vince.
The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Making sense of the media. The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
What's up, everyone? It's Trevor Sikkema here from the PFF NFL Show, here to get you ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're dropping PFF podcast episodes 3 times a week with the rankings, sleepers, team fits, mock drafts, and more, powered by the same data used by all 32 NFL teams. If you want a deeper insight into this year's class and how it all shapes up on draft day, we've got you covered. Become a smarter draft fan right now on the PFF NFL Podcast. The PFF NFL Podcast, part of the Believe Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
WMAL, more than just politics, because laughter is the best medicine. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, let us go to the telephones, Michael, and talk to the nice American people. Although Democrats are welcome to call in, too. You want to take a break from firebombing things and plotting with Ukrainians to perpetrate assassinations for a minute? You can always call in here and try to explain yourself, which I would imagine would be quite difficult. 888-630-9625. All are welcome. This is America, not Democrat Commieland. Let's go to Brian, calling from Front Royal, Virginia. Brian, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for having a great American show.
Heck yeah.
So I want to talk about President Trump and his tariffs, which I think are brilliant, and especially with China. So, there's got $1 trillion. We've got $1 trillion deficit. They've got $1 trillion surplus in trade with the United States. And they say they're going to fight us until the end. And I'm just wondering, the end of what? The end of the Chinese Communist Party? The end of their country? Because they've got a lot more to lose than we do. And so this is going to destroy them if they don't come to President Trump groveling for a deal.
As President Trump has indicated, a whole panoply of countries have already done. Coming in fact, yesterday he used a somewhat rough word describing how they came to kiss his, not his ring, but we'll get to that coming up. And the $1 trillion trade deficit, which the Democrats are fine with because they love slavery and the bullwhip. And they're not on the side of civilization. And the left, you say that China has a lot to lose. Here's one of the things you got to keep your eyes peeled when it comes to China. They don't care about humanity. They've murdered between 50 million and 75 million of their own people. It sounds absolutely implausible, but all of the historical and scientific research proves that that's true. Between 50 million and 75 million of their own people. They don't care about humanity. They don't care about their slave force of more than 1 billion people. And they're here to conquer the world in the 21st century, so it's time we stood up.
This is the Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Better news, Virginia 395 southbound, the crash near Seminary Road gone, and so are the delays. Northbound, we're still slow near the Pentagon, jammed over the 14th Street Bridge to the freeway. Into Georgetown Canal Road, still solid backups heading toward the Key Bridge. Key Bridge is slow coming out of Roslyn to M Street as well. Beltway Bethesda, the crash outer loop between Old Georgetown Road and 270, clear to the right shoulder. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny and milder today with a high of 55. Increasing clouds tonight, not as cold, low 40.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Hey y'all, as a growing family, my husband and I love game night, especially when it's Wayfair edition.
Let's do it. You got to name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting Wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy.
75 years of opportunity.
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Join us at MDA75.org.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS.
SIDS?
You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
This is Women's Work with Nicole Camille. I would rather have the temporary pain of discomfort than the avoidable pain of regret. There are too many of us that we're waiting for someday, and the clock is ticking. Redefining what it means to be doing women's work.
Make sense of this wild, chaotic, and beautiful world and your place in it. That is women's work.
This is Women's Work from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Hi, I'm Vince Galladay, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you. Because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
WMAL, making sense of education. Because what's happening in your kid's school matters. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Now this is a fun one. The radical leftists at the Seattle Times. Are they rioting in Seattle today, Michael? Because you know how the Democrats love to burn and loot and plunder, and Seattle has been a favorite. Didn't they create a CHOP or a CHAD or something there where they murdered several people? The Democrat Party. The story they have today: pronouns in your bio. Pronouns in your bio. You put pronouns, they, them, she, her, him. Don't know what your. The headline is pronouns in your bio. You may not get a response from the White House. Oh no, pronouns in your bio. You may not get a response from the White House. Some Trump administration officials have declined to answer questions from several journalists on the basis of their email signatures, because they put their pronouns in, and is there a clearer sign that you're a politically active leftist who is gender dysphoric and confused? I gotta say, and going back and forth with my great friend Anna, producer extraordinaire at Newsmax TV this morning, and this great headline: pronouns in your bio, you may not get a response from the White House. I've got to say, remember normal. Remember normal. And that goes back to the Chris Plant story on Al Gore's Amazing Internet, because we have T-shirts and coffee mugs that simply and eloquently say remember normal, because somebody's got to remember normal. If we're ever going to bring it back, this is becoming like a post-apocalyptic movie, at least culturally speaking, because Democrats. But I think it's pretty hilarious that some Trump administration official, I got an email from this guy at the New York Times, but is it a guy? Because it's a guy, his name is Roger, but he goes by she, they, and uses the HOV lanes when he's by himself because he's plural, and so doesn't respond. I think, that's good. I'm not sure if I've ever responded to an email that had pronouns in there. I'm sure that I've received emails that have pronouns in there, but I'm not certain that I ever responded to one of those, because why would you? Man. The New York Times has the same thing. Trump White House won't respond to some journalists because of their pronouns. I guess the Seattle Times stole it from the New York Times, because it's all a great big circle fest in a hot tub. It's the Democrat Party. These people. That's about all I have to say about them. But the Trump administration formally barred federal workers from listing their preferred pronouns in email signatures. That's fine with me. Calling it a symptom of a misguided gender ideology, which the New York Times put in quotation marks, gender ideology. Some White House officials are taking a similar approach with the journalists who cover them on at least three occasions. At least three occasions, they say recently in the New York Times. Senior Trump press aides have refused to engage with reporters' questions because the journalist listed identifying pronouns in their email signatures. Are they unsure themselves, or might casual passersby be unsure whether they're dealing with a man or a woman? Are they cross-dressing RuPaul fans? What is going on with all that? So New York Times is very upset about that. As a matter of policy, we do not respond to reporters with pronouns in their bios. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, wrote to a New York Times reporter who had inquired about the potential closing of a famed climate research observatory. It's not an observatory. It was a very, very expensive vanity project, first of the Obama administration, because the Obama administration created a fake climate change museum. Remember, Barack Obama said that with his arrival, his godlike arrival, that was the moment at which the rise of the oceans began to slow and the planet began to heal. The globe began to heal. Those were lies, but the cheering crowd was very North Korean in their approval, their enthusiastic approval. That was an amazing moment. Nobody's ever, the Caesars never laid claim to such phenomenal power. But Barack Hussein Obama, certainly he was all about him.
This was the moment when the rise of the oceans began to slow and our planet began to heal. This was the moment.
Yeah, no, it didn't. None of that happened. But the New York Times, I think that actually was the press corps in the briefing room cheering like that. They were ecstatic. That means they were in ecstasy. The Climate Change Museum, which was started by the Obama administration, and then the Trump administration, last time around, said that's the stupidest thing to spend money on we've ever seen. It was early Doge, and they put an end to that. And then, so it was gone. And then when the lunatics in the Joe Biden administration came in, they said, hey, what happened to the Climate Change Museum was it in the Ronald Reagan building downtown D.C.? So when the Trump administration came back in, they had to put an end to it again. And I got to say, this is no way to run a government, and it's certainly no way to run the government of the United States of America, where one radical left extremist cross-dressing administration comes in, and they claim that their mere presence will slow the rise of the oceans. If they just steal more of your stuff and tax you at a higher rate, then the weather will get better. And that is delusional, and it's mental, and it's perfectly typical of the Democrats. But the Climate Museum that the Democrats opened under Obama then shut down under Trump because it was ridiculous. And what was it? We found that fewer than 2,000 people, it was 1,900 and some odd people, actually visited the Democrats' Climate Museum. And the Doge people did a cost analysis of that, and they discovered that it cost more than, $340 per visitor to walk through the idiotic Climate Museum. And if you spent 30 seconds there walking through saying, nothing for us here, and walked out, hey, there's that polar bear on the ice shelf. Isn't that thing dead yet? Can we go hunt that damn thing? Give me the rifle, because what's it doing on that ice shelf? Leave that ice shelf alone. and the polar bears. So you walk in, you walk out, and that's $340-something to the taxpayer because the Democrats are mental. How do you think we got to be $36 trillion in debt? The answer is Democrats. Millions and millions of dollars to open this idiotic museum that nobody goes to, that costs us hundreds of dollars per visitor. You don't even get a nice steak dinner with it or anything like that. But these people, just great. And it was free, by the way. It was free. If you walked in, it was free to you. But the taxpayer had like $340-something for everybody that walked through. Aren't they amazing? And they're proud of that. And they wanted to put on a transgender play in Guatemala. So they took more of our money for that. These people. All right, let's get to President Trump, because a lot happened yesterday. And we opened up with President Trump talking to, he was the National Republican Congressional Campaign Committee people. And he talked about not wanting to outsource our jobs and stand up for the man on Main Street instead of the man on Wall Street, and talking about the middle class being an area of interest for him as opposed to the political class. And that's true. He doesn't come from the political class, does he? And he's always been a wealthy guy. He's been a wealthy guy that works with construction companies and unions and putting up skyscrapers in New York. And then the Democrats scream that he's broke. He's not. He's got his own 757 that he flies around in, and he lands and takes motorcades of limousines even before he was president to skyscrapers with his name on the top. And the Democrats insist that he doesn't have a penny to his name because everything they say and do is a lie. Now, he's talking about the trade issues that the United States, it turns out the United States has trade issues with countries all over the world, including a lot of our allies, where we do a lot of trade with the UK and with the European Union, a bunch of countries together. We do with communist China with a billion slaves that they could care less about the humanity of the billion slaves. And President Trump but we come out on the losing end of every agreement, and it costs us. It costs us jobs, communities, cities, towns are devastated by the economic collapse caused by a billion slaves in communist China and so on. And President Trump yesterday, this was good stuff from the president, and he's paying attention, and he's on our side, which is a terrible thing when it comes to Democrats. The Democrats are fighting to make sure that everything goes badly in the United States under Donald Trump, because that would be good for the Democrats. And their priority is, of course, the Democrats.
This is the largest transaction in the history of our country. And don't let some of these politicians go around saying, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir.
I'll do anything to hit these country after country calling up the White House, and they're kissing up to him, and they're trying to change the terms of our trade relations, because President Trump has said, "Hey, wait a minute, we're getting ripped off all over the place," and the National Republican Congressional Committee gathering, and a lot of people there because they're Republicans. Democrats, they'd be self-immolating in the audience, but Republicans are laughing because they realize that he does a lot of shtick built into his political speech. And President Trump.
And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate. Congress takes over negotiating. Sell America fast because you're going to go busted. You don't. I just saw it today. A couple of your congressmen said, I think we should get involved in the negotiation of the tariffs. So that's what I need. I need some guy telling me how to negotiate.
Honestly, who negotiated these terrible deals in the first place? Raise your hand if you're involved in negotiating these terrible deals in the first place. All these deals where we come out on the losing end of every one. So the president of the National Republican Congressional Committee gathering, and it was a lot of fun for everyone except for the Democrats, because and then tariffs on China, and China is fighting back, and the Democrats, they've got China's back here, and China knows that the Democrats have their back. The communists, I should say, Xi Jinping, Ricochet Rabbit, and all the commies with all their slaves, they know that the Democrat Party has their back in the United States, because the Democrat Party is here to undermine the United States of America, to undermine the president, the elected president, to undermine the Republican Party. And if President Trump succeeds, which I expect he will, in all of these matters of international trade, then that would be terrible for the Democrat Party. And all they want is take back the House of Representatives in the midterm elections, or sooner if they can. And they're not above anything. Remarkable stuff. So President Trump on China.
That's why additional tariffs on Chinese goods are in place effective midnight tonight at 104%. Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will. They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started, because they're proud people. China will now pay a big number to our Treasury.
Big number to our Treasury, and we are taking in many, many billions of dollars. More billions of dollars would be good anytime. President Trump, but look, this is a little patience, and we're not good at patience. The left wants to fan the flames of impatience for all of their crazy gun-toting, self-immolating, plotting with Ukrainians, get a rocket-propelled grenade Democrats, and there are more and more of them, apparently. President Trump also talking about the poor Democrats having a mental breakdown, which is an ongoing issue. And one of their favorite people, Jasmine Crockett, who's a fraud and a sham and a scamster, private Catholic school with all of her BS. President Trump last night on Jasmine Crockett.
The Democrats have taken a lot of beatings. They have lost their confidence. They've gone crazy. How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? Is that real? Are they serious about that? That's their new star? If that's their new star, they're in serious trouble. They've taken a lot of beatings, and now they're going to rely on Crockett to bring them back. Yeah, honestly, for them, it's like politics for them are like a party in Beverly Hills where maybe Hunter Biden's Malibu, where everybody drops their car keys into a fish bowl when they walk into the party. Then they do a bunch of coke and smoke a bunch of dope, and they go home with whoever. The Democrat Party is, you guys can do what you want. You just shouldn't be in charge of anything. And a big reason that you shouldn't be in charge of anything is because you're obviously not on our side. The United States of America. You're not even on the side of civilization at this point. Stop firebombing stuff. All right? Just a thought.
We done picking cotton.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Beltway through Tyson, still stop and go. Broken down car at the toll road was in the left lane. Looks like beat-up cruiser there, able to move that over to the right shoulder now. Still a bit of a distraction. 270, no late problems, but still watch for the volume on the spur to join the outer loop of the Beltway. Road work into Greenbelt. We are jammed each direction on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway. 395 north, we're still in delays near Boundary Channel across the 14th Street Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny and milder today with a high of 55. Increasing clouds tonight, not as cold, low 40.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy, the ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to, I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
What's up, everyone? It's Trevor Sikkema here from the PFF NFL Show, here to get you ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're dropping PFF podcast episodes 3 times a week with the rankings, sleepers, team fits, mock drafts, and more, powered by the same data used by all 32 NFL teams. If you want a deeper insight into this year's class and how it all shapes up on draft day, we've got you covered. Become a smarter draft fan right now on the PFF NFL Podcast. The PFF NFL Podcast, part of the Believe Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Blowing out your birthday candles should be easy, but if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath. Early diagnosis and treatment can add years to your life. If you have symptoms like wheezing or chronic cough, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
There is a difference between embarrassment and awkwardness. Embarrassment is a response to a personal failing or a gaffe, and the right response is to acknowledge it, own it, and move on. That's according to Hamilton College philosophy professor Alexander Plakaius. Now, because awkwardness is caused by a lack of social guidance, she says, you can try to anticipate it and head it off before it happens. Alexandra suggests that we go into a situation knowing exactly what you want to get out of it. Also, she says, remember this, there is no I in awkward. Well, what does that mean? That means pay attention to what everyone else is saying or doing. There are likely going to be some signals there that could offer you a pathway out of the awkward situation. Worst case scenario, make a joke, laugh it off, change the subject, and then move on. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish@wish.org.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS.
SIDS?
You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
There's been so many times where I'm like, I apologize that I said that, but that wasn't meant for you to hear.
Feel you there.
How fun would it be to bring in some Bravo celebrities and make our own bracket?
Iconic.
All right, I'll take Dorinda, you take Sonia.
Sonia is who I wish I could be.
You and me both. I cannot be someone in the program. What's PTO?
Paid time off, see?
Oh.
You never had a real job.
Give them Lala.
It is nothing but honesty.
You guys know.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy.
75 years of opportunity.
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Join us at mda75.org.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Okay, a great deal of fun coming up. President Trump was having a good time yesterday. Let's go to the telephones now, Michael. Let's go to Jason calling from Kensington, Maryland. Jason, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
G'day, Chris. How you going, mate?
Hey, I'm great.
Yeah, these tariff things, I was just talking to my mate in Australia, and so I think it looks like we're going to be into a regime change there pretty soon because they've all been sort of inspired by what Trump's done over here with the government waste and the tariffs. I mean, they're all kind of freaking out about the tariffs, but my sister's a beef farmer out there, and she's not all that worried because most of the beef goes locally anyway, but the current government is terrible. It's sort of like Biden 2.0 or Biden down under, they call him, and just absolutely awful, pro-China, pro-woke, everything like that. And the first week of May is the election, and there's a good indication that they might be out because I've already talked to people at the embassy and they're sort of getting ready for change already. So it's all been sort of Trump inspired because I've sort of seen what he's achieved over here and fast-tracked a lot of government, bureaucracy and all that. And they say, well, it can be done, and they're going to be hopefully changing and taking back the port of Darwin, which is owned by China, which is on a 99-year lease. And I think they're going to take the port back once the government changes as well. So,
really? The Chinese have taken over the port of Darwin?
Yes, they had a 99-year lease, which was arranged with a previous government back in the early 2000s, and they basically control what came and went, through Darwin, and they can really sort of mess up our trade there. But I think when the new government comes in, they're actually going to rescind that whole deal, which is going to be good because it's sort of like what happened with you guys over here with Panama,
right?
And Darwin is sort of basically our gateway to Asia, so that'll be good. But he has inspired a lot of talk out there in Australia of what can be done when you cut through all the bureaucracy and all of this BS of government regulations and tax. I mean, we're the most over-regulated country in the world, and we have all the resources, but the local Australians are paying some of the highest utility rates in the world, and yet we have the resources right there, and everybody's starting to run out of money, and they're going broke, and 7 out of 10 businesses fail because of government regulations, and it's they've had enough.
Wow, 7 out of 10. I gotta tell you, and I'm glad to hear this. I'm very happy to hear this, Jason, and I haven't been focused on it at all, I will confess. But it's about time that we of Western civilization started standing up for Western civilization and for free market capitalism and for level playing fields. And it's time we stood up against communist China, which has every intention of dominating the world.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News News at 10. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. Wall Street opened with another roller coaster after falling close to 1,000 points before the open. The Dow ticked back to positive territory along with the S&P and NASDAQ in the last half hour. As President Trump pleaded with investors on Truth Social to, quote, be cool, everything is going to work out well, the USA will be bigger and better than ever before. He then followed up with the message, this is a great time to buy. The Dow currently up 31 points, NASDAQ's up 168. The head of America's largest bank does not share the president's enthusiasm.
Do you personally expect a recession?
I think probably that's a likely outcome.
JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon tells Maria Bartiromo of Fox Business that signs of a slowdown were starting before the last election. With tariff uncertainty added, he says it's time to take a deep breath and negotiate some trade deals.
Fixing these tariff issues and trade issues would be a good thing to do. That will get one major uncertainty behind us.
Both Walmart and Delta now say the tariff dispute is creating uncertainty for their businesses. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
Breaking this morning, 4 teenagers have been charged in a Tuesday Spotsylvania shooting that left 3 dead, 3 more injured.
Early investigation shows the cause was an illegal gun sale robbery incident. The initial charges are malicious wounding and use of a firearm and the commission of a felony unlawful assembly. The 4 suspects range in age from 16 to 18 years old. 3 are currently being held with no bond. Another was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound and will be jailed upon his release. The shooting took place around 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, killing 2 18-year-olds and a 20-year-old and injuring 3 others. Spotsylvania Sheriff's Office in a press release commends their detectives on bringing this tragedy to a closure. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
The Trump administration has pulled the student visas of more foreign nationals at local universities.
Some international students at the University of Maryland College Park and UMBC are losing their student visas, with more than a dozen Johns Hopkins grad students having their visa records terminated, according to a report from the school, with Hopkins also stating they have been given no reason for the F-1 visa terminations. Several student groups are crying foul. At George Mason University, one of the most internationally diverse in the nation, several organizations are calling for campus protections for international students. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
A bill that would ban so-called speculative tickets from being sold online for concerts is making its way through the D.C. Council. These are tickets sold at several times their face value that scalpers sell even before they go on the market.
These digital scalpers, people who basically just scoop up all the tickets early on, make it so that you and I can't walk in and purchase at face value, and they skyrocket the prices.
The bill is already getting tremendous support from more than 30 local venues, including the 930 Club, the Howard Theater, and the Anthem. Councilmember Charles Allen tells me he hopes to have a vote by this fall and hopes to have the law enacted by early next year.
7 News' John Gonzalez. The Dow now up 293 points. NASDAQ's up 319. Traffic and weather next.
Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
When your business information is missing or inconsistent across the internet, search engines won't find you, and customers won't either. Help ensure customers see you and not your competitors. Boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Harvey.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal Race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Around the building now, the inner loop north on 495, pretty slow up from I-66. There was a broken down vehicle in the right lane just after the exit for the toll road. Outer loop still very heavy, New Hampshire Avenue to Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring. And then more delays on the outer loop as you approach the 270 spur merge. There was an accident there now on the shoulder. Outer loop is also slow from Old Georgetown Road across the Legion Bridge down to the George Washington Parkway. Outer loop is also slow from Van Dorn Street to Telegraph Road with a broken down vehicle now moved off the road to the right shoulder. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Plenty of sunshine, not as windy this afternoon with highs in the 50s. Clouds begin to increase overnight. Showers are likely tomorrow, mid-50s to around 60. Rain on Friday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rutan in the First Alert Weather Center.
43 degrees now at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
The corrupt globalist establishment that ruled our country for decades is now complaining that I'm doing exactly what I pledged to do in the campaign. All of these things, tariffs, the men and women's sports, everything. The borders, strong borders. We have the strongest border we've ever had today. It was just announced.
President Trump yesterday with the Republican National Congressional Committee. And it's true, the Democrats are absolutely flabbergasted, flummoxed. They don't understand. Wait a minute, you ran on this stuff and now you're doing it? That could screw up everything. We can't do that. Man, oh man. Well, a very good Wednesday to you and welcome back once again. We remain at 888-630-9625. The Democrats very angry about tariffs. Don't want to have trade wars, to make an effort at least to level the playing field on the global economic field of play. Because, you know, they're not interested in making things better for the United States of America. The Democrat Party, they're not very democratic, are they? No, they're not. Not even close. A remarkable time to be an American, a remarkable time to be alive on planet Earth. And there is a battle underway, and it's a permanent battle. But the battle space has changed because the Democrat Party has become the third world. And they live among us, and they're trying to drag us down their rabbit hole with them, economically, culturally, scientifically. How many genders are there? Hand the keys over to communist China because they have 1 billion slaves. And how much money did they give to the Biden family, the communist Chinese? I got to say, the Democrat Party, we have seen them going crazier and crazier over the years. But today, we've never seen anything like it. They're whack-a-doodle-doo. Today is Wednesday. That means it's hump day in the Clinton household, and Hillary has to get out of the house after she wakes up once again face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on their linoleum kitchen floor, one of their many multi-million-dollar mansions. And she knows she's got to be out because Bill is there, and it's hump day. So enough said on that. Also, that means here on the Chris Plant Show, very humbly, it is mailbag day, and Michael's going to make sure that I get to it today because sometimes the news starts breaking in the middle of the show, and I get distracted. I'll just say that it's me getting distracted. But we have mailbag day today, and I will get to the mailbag today because it's real good. Now, we've got a lot going on. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of the entire Department of Defense, was in Panama, the Panama Canal yesterday. And the Chinese are doing everything they can to take over the world. But we were just talking to our Australian friend, Jason, who was talking about how the Chinese have taken over the port of Darwin in Australia, a key, very important port for the Australians and for the world. And the Chinese recognize that they want to take over everything. Australia is, of course, the only continent that's just one country. It's one country, one continent. It's Australia. Australians are great. They've been taken over by lefties that are not on their side either. And lefties are here to destroy the world, and they'll get into bed with communist China, whether they're Australian lefties or New York lefties. And, you know, we've got all these billionaires that are such hacks that they're on the wrong side of history, as Barack Hussein Obama said so many times. We've got, we've got a lot of, we've got a lot of stuff. We've got so many wacky things going on. The Democrats, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, very, very angry because the Internal Revenue Service under DOJ is looking at illegal aliens with jobs. And like, hey, the IRS can help us identify illegal aliens. And the Democrat Hispanic Caucus, they want to stop that from happening. Boy, do they want that. They want to stop that from happening because the Democrat Congressional Hispanic Caucus, a race-based, a racially segregated congressional caucus, at least ethnically segregated, because the Democrats love segregation. They are the party of segregation. I'm like, hey, you can't, the federal government can't look at federal government files to see what the federal government is doing wrong. And the Democrat Party wants to make sure that we don't identify waste, fraud, and abuse, because the Democrat Party is the party of waste. The Democrat Party is the party of fraud. The Democrat Party is the party of abuse. And I'm not just talking about school children this time, although that is definitely one of their areas. So I want to get to Pete Hegseth. I want to get to President Trump again, who was busy yesterday with coal miners and with the National Republican Congressional Caucus. Big things going on. And there's another story that I want to share with you, because this is kind of a big deal. Yesterday I was talking about the poll, the survey that was done by an organization affiliated with the Rutgers University, And the poll, the survey found that a majority of Democrats, people that are self-described as leaning left, so that's definitely the Democrats, anything leaning left is the Democrats, whether they're communist China in the United States or just your usual cross-dressing New York street prostitutes, they're Democrats. But the survey found that a majority of Democrats, 55%, are in favor of assassinating President Trump. And a near majority, I think it's 48%, in favor of assassinating Elon Musk, who they used to love, and now they're like jilted street hookers or something like that. Pretty amazing stuff. But they love, Congressman Steve Scalise was shot nearly killed by a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer who wanted to kill every Republican on the baseball field because, and it was a suicide attack. That was one of their many suicide attacks. Amazing stuff. President Trump shot by a Democrat who had to be picked off by a Secret Service counter sniper because President Trump had been shot through the ear and only, luckily, because he turned his head to the right at the last moment. Otherwise, we'd be in a very different country right now. That's for sure. And on with the Democrat Party assassinating 3 Republican presidents in the past and shooting at many more Republican presidents. Only 1 Democrat president assassinated, and he was shot by a communist who may have worked for the CIA. It's hard to say. I'm kidding largely about the CIA, but never mind that. Now, Dan Bongino, and we know Dan Bongino here. Dan Bongino, I believe, started his radio career in this building on this floor, right down the hall in a radio studio where Larry O'Connor and I welcomed Dan Bongino into our midst, into our studios, and showed him what a cough button is and all that good stuff. And he learned the ropes on radio the matters of radio right here in this, my mothership station, WMAL in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, right? Now, Dan Bongino left his lucrative radio career and podcasting career to go work at the FBI as the deputy director, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And news broke yesterday afternoon after I left the radio station here in Washington to go down to my Newsmax show. FBI creates multi-agent bodyguard team to protect Dan Bongino, the former pro-Trump podcaster. This is NBC Fake News, a fake news organization, with their headline, "The former pro-Trump podcaster is the first deputy director to have a security detail. Full-time protection could require up to 20 agents," former officials said. When they say former officials, they're, of course, talking to their Democrat Party allies, many of whom they're sleeping with. And I do mean in a sexual way. And they got this left-wing radical, not a journalist at all, Ken Delanian, typing it up on behalf of the Democrat Party under the banner of NBC Fake News. The FBI has issued a call for agents to voluntarily serve as bodyguards for Deputy Director Dan Bongino, a break from past practice. You know, the number of people that are being shot by you guys and the fire bombings, also a break with past practice. And the reason for this, and NBC News doesn't put it in the lead because they're a backward bunch, and Ken Delanian is a famous Democrat Party bootlick and not a journalist at all, which is why he wins all the Lucite blocks that you might imagine. He's got lots of Lucite blocks because, you know, the Democrats, they're a bloodthirsty bunch of ghouls. But so it's a break past practice in which the Bureau's number 2 officials did not have security details. 2 current and former FBI officials familiar with the matter told NBC News. And they're presumably anonymous because they're dating NBC News and NBC News is dating them. Bongino, a former Secret Service agent and New York City police officer who became a wealthy pro-Trump podcaster. You can feel it's just dripping with bitterness and resentment and envy, isn't it? Because Democrats harshly criticized the Bureau for years before President Donald Trump chose him to be deputy director. That's because he's been calling out a corrupted FBI that has been politicized by the Democrat Party and the left. But with that in mind, Bongino, the first deputy director in FBI history who's not a career agent. He's a former career Secret Service agent and NYPD officer, has pledged to act in a nonpartisan manner. This is pure politics, this fake news story. That's just the Democrat Party. Now, here's the reason. Because of the death threats coming from the Democratic Party, the party of slavery and the Confederacy, the party that has assassinated 3 Republican presidents and shot at least 2 more, whereas only 1 Democrat president was shot, and he was shot by a communist. These are telling facts. So last week, a message sent to FBI agents known as a canvas asked for volunteers to leave their jobs temporarily to serve on a protective security detail for Bongino. Well, I wouldn't want to put any Ken Delanian FBI-loving FBI agents who have corruptly abused their power over the last, how many years now? 10 years. I guess it's about 10 years now. With the beginning of the first Trump administration and then the Biden administration, all the abuses of the FBI and the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland, who should probably be in shackles somewhere, honestly, shackled to a wall with spiders crawling over him, like an old political cartoon. So the canvas sought agents willing to relocate for 30 days of temporary duty, TDY, to protect Bongino 24 hours a day. Well, it's not much good if there's another story about the would-be Brett Kavanaugh assassin yesterday, because Democrats, they have more assassins and more suicide attacks, and They're worse than Al Qaeda at this point. And at some stage, we may have to identify the Democratic Party as a terrorist threat to the United States of America. I mean, honestly, suicide attacks against the police in Baton Rouge, in Dallas, mass murder, massacre there. The news media ignored it. Suicide attack against NYPD in New York City, against the U.S. Capitol Police in Washington. Suicide attack against Republican members of Congress at a baseball field in Alexandria. Suicide attack against President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. The Democrat Party is a threat to our democracy. You know, they remember when President Trump, oh no, President Trump could win. It would be the end of our democracy. You guys have cornered the market on the end of our democracy. You're the left, all right? Man, oh man. So now they got to have as many as 20 full-time agents. This is another Democrat Party expense. Yes, sir. Means the detail would consist of rotating groups of agents who volunteer to leave their normal duties, creating the security detail. Appears to run counter to one of the FBI's Director Kash Patel's top priorities, transferring FBI agents from headquarters to the field. You know, well, listen, when Democrats are threatening to assassinate everybody and then proving that they mean it again and again, with all the suicide attacks, yeah, you got to provide security to people that volunteer to serve as government officials. You could be making a lot more money and be, you know, although the Democrats target you when you're doing conservative talk radio shows too. But as FBI director, if the Democrats are threatening him, then I guess we ought to protect him. Call me old-fashioned. So the Democrats don't want safety for Dan Bongino, who at NBC News, they've always a conservative radio talk shows. Yeah, and Secret Service agent and New York Police Department officer, but never mind that. And the Democrat Party is a threat to everything and everyone. Just saying. You know that the all-new Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived. This new thunderstorm uses two technologies, and studies have shown these two technologies help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria floating in the air in your home, in your office. Also, it takes care of dust and pet stuff floating in the air, and gets rid of any odor, too. No filters to replace again and again, like a lot of air purifiers. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed, from litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, left-wing protesters. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because, you know, you and I are friends, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You can put one in your basement, your teenager's room, your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS and the number 3, to save $200 American on 3 thunderstorms. Make one a gift. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah, so Dan Bongino now being threatened, of course. And you want to say, well, we got to secure our senior government employees who are being threatened, who are in danger. And the Democrats will angrily denounce you for that. I wonder why.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Hey, weekend warriors. How's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your
I got my skillet heating up so I can cook some bacon. I haven't had breakfast yet. No panel.
The Sean Ryan Show Peak Points. Get timeless inspiration from the very best of the Sean Ryan Show. What do you think of working with the SEALs? We went out every night.
It's not working for him, CB. I had you all fooled with the Gotti clone.
Because of what was coming from me in the middle of the night. How long did it take you to be able to talk about long time? But I realized
CB, you'll never find a guy like this. This is what you need right here, CB. My hands are still wet from washing dishes. clean as I go.
Sense of the border.
Homeland Security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
You see them fucking idiots using my mother's pics and arguing with each other? They're so fucking logical and acid drip and whipperman and the fucking the whole FDU crew. High tech. I don't know what it is, you know. Fucking England has a fascination with India.
Birthday should be easy. But if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath.
Beef Wellington, that's all I can think of.
Years to your life. If you have symptoms like wheezing or chronic cough, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
Around the clock updates and uncommon understanding.
Listen to this, because this stuff is going on behind the scenes and you don't know about it.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
There's been so many times where I'm like, I apologize that I said that, but that wasn't meant for you to hear.
Feel you there.
How fun would it be to bring in some Bravo celebrities and make our own bracket?
Iconic.
All right, I'll take Dorinda, you take Sonia.
Sonia is who I wish I could be. You and me both.
I cannot be someone in the program. What's PTO?
Paid time off. See, you never had a real job.
Give them Lala.
It is nothing but honesty.
You guys know.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companion for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Raise a puppy, change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
Making sense of your world.
This is no conspiracy theory. This is a fact. Here it is.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 to 9 p.m.
Listen to this, would you?
News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
When your business information is missing or inconsistent across the internet, search engines won't find you, and customers won't either. Help ensure customers see you and not your competitors. Boost your findability. Cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
WMAL, making sense of the forecast. Because you never know what Mother Nature has in store. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
And I don't have enough time to do a phone call justice right now, so I'm going to hold off because we believe in justice. Yeah, NBC fake news, they've got this horrible hatchet job of a story by this complete fraud and charlatan, Ken Delanian, who's not a journalist at all. And NBC News hired one of these crooked former FBI agents named Frank Figliuzzi. Do you know this guy? Figliuzzi, an NBC News contributor, criticized Dan Bongino's decision not to simply carry a weapon, as past deputy directors have done. Frank Figliuzzi, who is a Trump-hating fanatic, an extremist, one of these deep state guys who belongs in Supermax. The guy's amazing. And NBC News quoting him. We had to hear what he had to say about Dan Bongino needing a security detail because of the dangerous left. Frank Figliuzzi said he's perfect for NBC News. I'll give them both that.
This is the Chris Plant Show.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10:30. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. The Wall Street tickers are jittery, but generally staying in a narrow range as the trade war tariff drama plays out between the U.S. and the world. President Trump pleading with investors on Truth Social as the market opened to, quote, be cool. Everything's going to work out well. The U.S. will be bigger and better than ever before. China, meanwhile, has vowed to fight to the end as it raised tariffs on American goods to 84% after the president raised the total tariff on Chinese imports to 104%. China's declined to say whether it would negotiate with the White House as other countries have done. 4 teenagers have been arrested in what investigators say was an illegal gun sale gone wrong that led to 3 people being killed and 3 wounded in Spotsylvania County Tuesday evening. 3 suspects being held without bond, the 4th in the hospital after being shot himself. Traffic and weather next.
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? Whether you're a local shop or global enterprise, Bank of America gives you access to a range of business solutions to help make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business.
Steve Hirshorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
In McLean, Virginia, Great Falls Street still closed both ways near 123 because of the water main break, and the work there continues under police direction. Inner loop at the Beltway northbound 495 and delays up from Route 7, leaving Tyson's to the construction north of the toll road in the right lane. Outer loop is pretty slow from the 270 spur over to the George Washington Parkway. Then on the outer loop at the Beltway, delays from 95 and 395 in Springfield to the broken down vehicle before Telegraph Road. Just moved off the roadway over to the right shoulder. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny today with a high of 55 degrees. Increasing clouds tonight, milder than last night, a low of 40. 44 at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just saw the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us? Nope, they can't see you. Because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
School absences are often due to the absence of necessary resources. But when Communities in Schools is present, students are connected to the support they need to show up ready to learn. Visit communitiesinschools.org. Being present matters.
What's up, everyone? It's Trevor Sikkema here from the PFF NFL Show, here to get you ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're dropping PFF podcast episodes 3 times a week with rankings, sleepers, team fits, mock drafts, and more, powered by the same data used by all 32 NFL teams. If you want a deeper insight into this year's class and how it all shapes up on draft day, we've got you covered. Become a smarter draft fan right now on the PFF NFL Podcast. The PFF NFL Podcast, part of the Believe Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
This is Women's Work with Nicole Khalil. I would rather have the temporary pain of discomfort than the avoidable pain of regret. There are too many of us that we're waiting for someday, and the clock is ticking. Redefining what it means to be doing women's work.
Make sense of this wild, chaotic, and beautiful world and your place in it. That is Women's Work.
This is Women's Work from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook. Because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com, making sense of your world online. WMAL, making sense of the roads, because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, we got more coming on the economy and the madness that is the Democrat Party. Yeah, this guy Frank Figliuzzi, NBC Fake News, describes former senior FBI official Frank Figliuzzi, and reminded, in fact, Michael Persia, I know this Figliuzzi guy. He's the biggest rectal aperture at the FBI, and NBC News says he's an NBC News contributor, meaning they pay him. Criticized Bongino's decision to not simply carry a weapon, as past deputy directors have done. Of course he could carry. This is ridiculous, Figliuzzi said. The disgrace to his Italian heritage. The question is, what is the actual risk and threat here? Or does he just want a detail? This is taxpayer money we're talking about. Oh, sounds like Figliuzzi wants to join Doge. Sounds like he wants to cut on waste, fraud, and abuse. Except he doesn't. He's just a left-wing bureaucrat, a hack. So, the FBI director, who typically has not been an agent, has usually been protected by a full security detail, and as has the attorney general. And so the people at NBC are doing a hatchet job on Dan Bongino here, and they got this Figliuzzi guy. Now, I went and did a little search on Figliuzzi, and he is famous for being a Trump-hating zealot. And that's why NBC hired him, because he's got a credential, he's got an old business card and a retired badge. And I guess he carries a gun and wants to pretend. So here it is, Dan Bongino, just go out and shoot it out on the streets, like Sheriff Bart here in Rock Ridge. You're responsible for your own security. And there's, career Secret Service agent, NYPD guy. Maybe he could get certified to carry a gun. I think he's been certified to carry a gun for decades. Now I went and I found a story from 2023. Newsweek fake magazine. Former FBI official, this is Frank Figliuzzi. Former FBI official issues ominous warning on Trump supporters' threats. Yeah, that's it. How many suicide attacks by Trump supporters on members of Congress? See James Hodgkinson of the Bernie Sanders campaign shooting Congressman Steve Scalise. Look at the suicide attacks by Democrats in New York, Washington, D.C., Dallas, and Baton Rouge, in Alexandria, Virginia, just to name a few. Suicide attacks by Democrats murdering people. Frank Figliuzzi, Newsweek, said, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence, well, he sounds counterintelligent to me, said that domestic threats in the United States now look like international terrorist threats, with people, quote, willing to die for a cause, end quote, who back former President Donald Trump. Is that right? But we haven't seen any of that, Frank Figliuzzi, but I just ticked off a small handful of the Democrat Party's violent, murderous suicide attacks. Pay no attention to the facts. This guy must have been a really crooked FBI agent. He doesn't know what facts are. He can't recognize fact patterns. He lies, and for political purposes, he lies. Trump has previously faced criticism for making alleged threats following his criminal indictments, and is currently facing 78 felony charges in total spread across 3 cases. That's the Democrats' Lawfare and Newsweek magazine and Figliuzzi. They're all about it. I got to tell you, these people, it reminds me of 1861 around here. The Democrats are at it again. Isn't that amazing? So the Trump supporters are the real threat, not the people shooting at Trump, not the people trying to get rocket launchers and Stinger missiles from Ukraine to assassinate Trump. Those aren't the problem. And you remember they had that transgender death cult that were just arrested recently. They murdered at least 4 people, transgender death cult, political lunatics, the Democrat Party. But Dan Bongino has so many threats, he needs a security detail. And the media attacks Dan Bongino. Isn't that amazing? Well, perhaps not amazing, just the usual, you know. All right, now let us see. Let us go to the telephones, Michael. We are at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Joe, calling from Fort Defiance, Virginia, which is one of the greatest names of a town anywhere in the country. Joseph from Fort Defiance, Virginia, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Joe from Fort Defiance. Hey, Joe. Come on, you call from Fort Defiance. You got to be hanging there on the line from Fort Defiance. Wants to talk about the Democrats and their plan for the nation. It's the plan, Fort Defiance. Joe, that was it. I was looking forward to this one, too. He was hanging in there for a long time. He was. All right, let's get back to the madness. Now, on the trade issues, the Secretary of the entire Department of Treasury is an intelligent person, a successful person in the business world, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Department. He was on the television this morning with Maria Bartiromo on the Fox Business Channel, talking about the China communists and the trade imbalance that exists in our trade relationship with communist China, with 1 billion people being used as slaves. You know, in China, if they need your kidney, they'll line you up against a wall, shoot you, cut out your kidney. You know, they need it for a party leader. And they literally do this, by the way. And when they execute you, they execute a lot of people in China. And they have a history in communist China of executing people by firing squad. And it's really one person. They just shoot you one person because they're very thrifty with their ammunition. Never know when you might have to kill 100 million people. And the Chinese, they send a bill to the family of the inmate that they execute for the bullet. That's true. That's not a fake story. But here is Scott Bessent this morning with Maria Bartiromo talking about our trade relationship with communist China. And in fact, this went so well that even CNN is attacking the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent for what he said because they're mental. But here's the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who, by the way, the Democrats would say every time his name comes up, is the highest ranking gay person ever to serve in government. If you don't count Barack Obama.
I think it's unfortunate that the Chinese actually don't want to come and negotiate because they are the worst offenders in the international trading system. They have the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world. And I can tell you that this escalation is a loser for them.
And they're picking a fight with the United States on trade. 84% tariffs on everything we send them. President Trump said 104% tariffs for everything we buy from China. Scott Bessent.
They are the surplus country. Their exports to the U.S. are 5 times our exports to China. So they can raise their tariffs, but so what?
But so what? See, I like that. That's guts. That's standing up for Team America, which is not something that Joe Biden ever did or the Democrats are in favor of doing because they really, really aren't on our side at all. Now, you may be familiar with Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, he's sometimes called. And he's got, Shark Tank he's got a television enterprise investing in startup businesses and so on. Kevin O'Leary went on CNN where they were sure that he was going to take shots at President Trump and his plans for trade relations with communist China. Didn't work out very well for CNN, but here's Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, talking about President Trump. Again, President Trump imposing 104% tariffs on communist China. And granted, this is going to be for people in a lot of businesses. I saw an interview with a toy store owner yesterday on the television. And he said, well, more than 90% of what I sell comes from communist China, made by child labor with no protections and all that good stuff. And Mr. Wonderful on CNN, he was supposed to say, oh, this is so terrible, it's going to cause the Great Depression Part 2, which was driven largely by Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his disastrous economic policies to deliver us from evil after the stock market crash of 1929. But that's not important now. Here's Kevin O'Leary.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China.
Not
they
enough.
don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, sell it back here.
They lie, they cheat, they steal. You know why? They're communists. I'm here to remind people of the lessons learned in the 20th century. We're 1/4 of the way nearly through the 21st century. China has stated out loud that they plan on, and I hear liberals in the United States say this too. Well, the 20th century was the American century because we saved the world over and over again through our hard work and sacrifice, and hundreds of thousands of Americans dying on the battlefield to smash the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler, to hold the Soviet socialist utopianists at bay, to fight the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, which was being spread by the Soviet Union, by the way, the USSR, where Bernie Sanders went on his honeymoon with his adoring wife, who bankrupted that college in Vermont. How do you bankrupt a college? But of course, the communist Chinese, they lie. Of course, they cheat. Of course, they steal. They're communists, and nobody kills like the communist Chinese. Nobody in the history of the world has ever killed the way that the communist Chinese have killed since the 1949 Maoist revolution in communist China. But Kevin O'Leary said 104%. So no, I want 400% tariffs on communist China. And it's not like this guy is a famous Trump supporter or a Republican or something. He's really not. But he's a businessman. And he says he does lots of business in China, too. Kevin O'Leary.
Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough.
Mean tweets, though, that the Democrats. Honestly, again, I shared with you the study yesterday where 55% of Democrats are in favor of assassinating President Trump, and that's a study that comes with the blessing of Rutgers University, and the Democrat Party is they love to say that President Trump is a threat to our democracy, which justifies in their own minds killing him. He's Hitler. He's all the Nazis. They love these words. They don't know what they mean, but they're a dangerous bunch. Again, Kevin O'Leary on tariffs for communist China.
400% tariffs tomorrow morning. America is the #1 economy on earth with all the cars. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Oh, smash Chinese heads into the wall now. That's pretty good stuff. I like that. I've never heard him sound like this ever, and this guy's been around for years, but I've never heard him sound anything like this. Isn't that amazing? Let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Patrick, calling from the tiny state of Rhode Island. Patrick, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
I'm great, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, I was listening to you talk about Frank Figliuzzi.
Yeah.
He back in 2019, there was a couple of mass shootings, and Trump decided that they were going to flag the flag at half-mast until August 8th. And he said that August 8th is the significant, well, that August 8th would be 8/8. And and he said that was significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movements because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and that 8 stands for Heil Hitler. I mean, you can't make it up.
You can't make it up. Honestly, Patrick, you don't have to make it up because these nut jobs are out there, and they give me hours and hours of madness every day to sift through and try to get back to the real world. But you're absolutely correct. In fact, Michael Pearson and I were talking about this. Michael said the same thing, this 8-8 Heil Hitler thing, which apparently was some motorcycle gangs. They'll do an 8-8 tattoo. And this Figliuzzi nutcase, he must have been born on 8-8 or something. Completely nuts.
Yeah. One of the things, actually, you probably don't remember, I met you at the Army-Navy game last year when we were waiting in line to go through the magnetometer.
I do remember, and we talked, and my best girl had been stopped because she had binoculars.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And you were with your buddies, and I do remember talking to you outside when we were getting through security. And my best girl had to work the system because she wasn't being allowed into the Army-Navy game because of binoculars at the place where the Redskins play. They call it Northwest Stadium now. I do remember talking to you, and we were making fun of, a couple of different things, weren't we?
Right. Yeah, we were. Anyway, thanks for taking my call.
You were there with Navy buddies.
Yeah, we were, myself and a classmate of mine from the Naval Academy were there.
Academy guys, see? Joe, great stuff. I'm saluting you, buddy.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, Figliuzzi. Where do we find such men? And is it too late to get rid of them?
The numbers 8-8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's disease research program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Making sense of your world on the go. Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected. Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal Race Golf for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com, making sense of your world online. Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected. Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
There's been so many times where I'm like, I apologize that I said that, but that wasn't meant for you to hear.
Feel you there.
How fun would it be to bring in some Bravo celebrities and make our own bracket?
Iconic.
All right, I'll take Dorinda, you take Sonia.
Sonia is who I wish I could be.
You and me both. I cannot be someone in the program. What's PTO?
Paid time off. See,
Oh.
you never had a whale job.
Give them Lala.
It is nothing but honesty.
You guys know.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
WMAL, making sense of social media, because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Ah, yes. All right. Yes, assassination culture, the study found the Democrats wanted, they love Luigi Mangione. He assassinated a CEO of a healthcare insurer. The Democrats are good with that. High approval rating. They want to date him. That's a euphemism. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Jeff calling from Herndon, Virginia. Jeffrey, you're on the Chris Plank Show. Jeff. Hey, what's going on? It's kind of funny out there today, isn't it? We got, must be the NSA. Let's go to Jeff. One last chance, Jeff. No, Jeff. All right, let's go to Jerry calling from the great state of Pennsylvania. That's the Keystone State. Jerry, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Hey, Chris, love the show.
Thanks, Jerry.
One of the things I'm getting really frustrated about is I'm getting sick of a bunch of uneducated liberals calling me a fascist. Then you turn around and you ask them what it means, and they don't know.
Yeah.
We're talking about a regime that murdered 13 million people, slaughtered innocent POWs, American POWs, unarmed at Malmedy, and yet we're not. They're taking away our rights. They're taking away this. They're taking away that. They can't take what was taken away, but yet they'll still live under the strong arm of the Democratic Party, who turns around and takes rights away from people every single day. Now, please explain to me where that makes any sense.
Well, they also celebrate the snuffing out of more than 1 million babies' lives a year, and they harvest their organs, kind of like Dr. Mengele, Joseph Mengele did, and they love that. And these are the people, Jeff, that are excuse me, wrong one, Jerry, that are chasing Jews off of college campuses across America, the students and the faculty, threatening them and chanting the Hamas slogan, from the river to the sea, which is as close as you get to Nazism in the modern world. And the Democrat Party, they are all about, from the river to the sea, wiping Israel off the map, terrorizing Jews, calling them the terrorists when Hamas is a genocidal death cult drenched in the blood of innocents. And Jerry, my father actually killed Nazis when he was a young man. So they're wrong about everything all the time. And they just love to pick a fight that they could never win, of course, when it came down to it. The Democrat Party, like the socialist work.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 11. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. The stock market has managed to avoid a deep dive since opening today, pretty much as investors try to figure out where the U.S. and China go in the next trade war. J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon tells Fox Business the U.S. needs to make trade deals.
It's totally reasonable to say we want to make trade better. But I also want to point out to the Americans, we have the best economy in the world. Our GDP per person is $85,000. China's is $15,000.
Dimon says he expects the tariffs to cause inflation to rise and he believes a recession is likely. President Trump is advising investors to be cool and says everything will turn out well. He met with House holdouts to try and get that one big, beautiful budget bill passed.
Fox has told President Trump moved some potential no votes to supporting the budget resolution. Missouri's Eric Burleson wasn't at the meeting and is still a no, saying the plan doesn't do enough to cut spending.
Trump wants to reduce the interest rates. Trump wants to lower the deficits. The only way to accomplish those is to reduce spending. And $4 billion, that's an anemic, that is really a joke.
Fox is told there could be up to 40 Republicans either undecided or opposed to the budget resolution. President Trump is encouraging the House to pass the resolution, which would make his 2017 tax cuts permanent. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Northern Virginia leaders are asking state lawmakers for help to stabilize the local economy as federal cuts continue.
This is an emergency. It's a very serious issue that requires a very serious response.
Fairfax County Supervisor Jeff McKay telling a Virginia House committee the impacts of federal workforce reductions are hitting hard.
We know there are 80,000 residents just in Fairfax County that work for the federal government.
Committee Chair Republican Delegate Rob Bloxham agrees emergency state legislation is needed.
These are our friends, they are neighbors, they are our co-workers, they are fellow Virginians.
Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
3 dead, 3 injured, now 4 charged following a Tuesday shooting in Spotsylvania County.
The sound of gunfire as 4 suspects between 16 and 18 are facing charges of malicious wounding and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony unlawful assembly in what the sheriff believes was a robbery illegal gun sale incident. 3 suspects are being held without bond. Another taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound will head to jail when he's discharged. The shooting took place late afternoon in a townhouse community and left 2 18-year-olds and a 20-year-old dead. The sheriff's department thanked detectives on bringing this tragedy to a closure. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
23-year-old man from Bowie vacationing in Nassau was found dead there.
The body of Denari McElmont was found Saturday morning on the shoreline of Paradise Island near Nassau. Michelle McElmont says her son left them during dinner to get a jacket and then disappeared, not answering his texts. His body discovered the next morning, and she claims that her son had been beaten. The State Department has issued a level 2 travel advisory for the Bahamas, warning tourists to be aware of heightened risks to safety and security. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
The Dow is down 280 points, the NASDAQ up 18. Traffic and weather next.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal Race Car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Hey, weekend warriors. How's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you. Because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online.
Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
In McLean, Virginia, Great Falls Street remains closed both ways near 123 because of the ongoing...
I'm eating bacon.
There, around the Beltway, the Interloop, and delays northbound from Route 7 up to the construction north of the toll road along the right-hand side of the roadway. On the outer loop, you'll be slow from the Clarabart Parkway across the Legion Bridge down to the George Washington Parkway. Baltimore Washington Parkway southbound, very heavy and slow from the Beltway down to 410 where there was an accident earlier. Inter-County Connector eastbound ICC, Maryland 200 before Route 29. Roadwork blocks the right lane. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Sunshine with temperatures in the 50s this afternoon. Clouds will increase overnight. Clouds return tomorrow. Breezy conditions. Scattered showers likely later in the day. Highs in the 50s to around 60. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
44 degrees at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
We get so much of our lumber, our 2x4s, from Canada. That's where we get it from. Canada. We get our newsprint from up there for newspapers. The fact is we get it. What are we going to do? Have more lumber made in the United States now? What is our plan now? Oh, we're not going to import wood, so we're going to make more wood? We're going to create more wood? Is that it?
Yes, the always reliable Chris Matthews. Severe mental case that he is. On DNC TV this morning, of course, Morning Joke. Speaking of Circle Fest in a hot tub. Well, I don't know if Chris Matthews is familiar with where wood comes from. I also saw an angry Democrat, fake journalist yesterday pounding the table, saying that we get most of the wood that we use to make toilet paper from Canada. Because Democrats usually just burn trees. They don't want to cut them down. They set them on fire and burn them by the tens of thousands of acres, like in Los Angeles and Malibu and beyond, because they may groom the children, but they don't groom the forests. Little cat scratch fever. And amazing, Chris Matthews. Well, yeah, actually, it's a renewable resource. They love to talk about renewables. They just don't know what the word means. Not a bright bunch. Not a bright bunch. And he had to be caught up in the Pound Me Too scandal, didn't he? I mean, he was a groper and a Googler from way back. But that's MSDNC. Yeah, where do you think wood comes from? Canada is one big forest. Nobody lives there. It's the second largest country on the planet Earth. And they have, I think, a population smaller than the state of California. To say that they're larger would be understatement. Amazing stuff. But there's Chris Matthews. Yeah, what are we going to do? Just make new trees? Well, that's how trees work. Yeah. And we grow them for the purpose of harvesting lumber. And in a great many cases, we buy this very soft wood because we're America out of Canada to make toilet paper. I heard liberals whining about this yesterday. Oh, no, what are we going to do? We're going to become like Venezuela. Remember when Venezuela, the whole country ran out of toilet paper? They had to go knock on Colombia's door. Hey, do me a favor. Pass me a roll. The whole country's out of toilet paper because that's what Democrats being completely in charge here would lead to. Also, these people, Chris Matthews, complete mental case. What are we going to do? Grow more trees? Yes. Any questions? They have very, very small brains. They don't understand much about the world around them, the world that they live in. I'm telling you, today is mailbag day, too. I mentioned that today is mailbag day because it's Wednesday. It's hump day in the Clinton household, and here on the Chris Plant Show, it's mailbag day. Now, the economy and tariffs, all very important. And the Democrats are pushing for and hoping for and doing everything they can to facilitate economic catastrophe for the United States, because they don't care if it's bad for the United States and 330 million of us that live here. They just want it to be bad for Donald Trump, because that's who they are. They're in bed with communist China. And, they loved Hugo Chavez when he was in charge of Venezuela. Now they love Nicolas Maduro, now that he's in charge of Venezuela. Remember Barack Obama going down to Cuba and sucking up to the Castros and the communists there, posing for pictures with murals of Che Guevara. Barack Obama was mentored by a Communist Party member when he was growing up named Frank Marshall Davis. Barack Obama chose a Communist Party voter, John Brennan, known as Penitentiary Face Brennan, to be CIA director. And Barack Obama's communist voting, he voted for Gus Hall, the Communist Party candidate for president of the United States. And then Barack Obama made him CIA director. And then Penitentiary Face undermined with 50 other communists, Democrats, undermined our 2020 presidential election with their fake letter about the reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop having all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. No, it didn't. You guys are Russian disinformation. There are commies everywhere in the Democrat Party. And that's, I just cited a few specific facts that are not in dispute, but never mind that. Now let us get to the mailbag, because it's Wednesday. It's mailbag day, and we have Michael get me the mailbag queries. It's like questions, but with a funnier word. And give me only 3 today. Only 3 mailbag questions today. Never mind. Darius asks, Amy Coney Barrett continually votes with the left. Is there any hope of her coming around? Nice Notre Dame law school girl, and the media very riled up about this, and there's reason for concern. There is. Amy Coney Barrett continually votes with the left. Is there any hope for it coming around? The left-wing media. Amy Coney Barrett joins liberals to defy Trump again. The left-wingers at the Daily Beast have the headline, Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett has broken with her fellow conservatives on another high-profile challenge to the Trump administration. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 on Monday that President Donald Trump could resume deportations of Venezuelans accused of being members of the Trinidad gang, but with an important caveat. The alleged gang members must be given a chance to see judicial review before they are deported. This is what the Democrats want, because there are millions and millions of illegal aliens that they waved into the country. They want to tie it all up in the courts for decades to come, because there are 10 million, 12 million, 15 million, whatever the number may be. And the Democrats want to tie it up because they love lawfare, and everybody's a lawyer on the left, so they want to line their pockets while destroying the country. It's a win-win for the Democrat Party. Coney Barrett sided with the court's 3 liberal justices to co-sign key parts of Justice Sonia Sotomayor's blistering dissent. She looks like she's got blisters, doesn't she? I think she's got a lot of blisters. The 4 female justices argued that continuing the deportations while courts weigh in on the relevant legal questions could have life or death consequences for the detainees sent to El Salvador's notorious Sicat mega prison. Now, without getting all into that, and it's true, she has sided with the the liberal, left-wing, radical, anti-American, communist, socialist, baby-killing wing of the Democrat Party again and again. And I honestly, Darius, is there hope for her coming around? I would say that yes, but, and there is a pattern here from Amy Coney Barrett, and it's discouraging, to be sure. I would say that that because of the pattern, that I'll be keeping an eye on her behavior and her the way that she votes on the Supreme Court, who she sides with, and you get the 4 females, right, and 5 men. Of course, one of the females doesn't know what a woman is. Joe Biden's pick for the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson. What's a woman? What am I, some kind of a biologist or something? Well, you are a woman, I can tell from here. This came up at the White House briefing yesterday, Amy Coney Barrett, and the media's attacking Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, for giving this answer, and it's the attacks are a lot of bourgeois.
We believe this was a massive victory. Certainly, we wish this was a 9-0 decision because we firmly believe that the president was well within his constitutional authority. And the Supreme Court made that very clear last night. And they put Judge Boasberg in his place. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these judges who are acting as judicial activists, not real arbiters of the truth and the law. And that's exactly what we saw the Supreme Court do yesterday. Another left-wing headline, Caroline Leavitt takes swipe at Amy Coney Barrett betrayal. That's the question and the answer that from Caroline Leavitt that earned this fake headline from the fake media, which is a third world media, and they're a danger to Western civilization. The Guardian out of the United Kingdom, far right condemns Amy Coney Barrett for ruling against Trump administration. Well, the far right condemns Amy Coney Barrett. I think you can raise legitimate questions about the ruling and her decision to side with the lefties. But I've got to say, and there is something of a pattern here with Amy Coney Barrett. And here's the thing. I expect Supreme Court justices to provide legal expertise, to side with the Constitution and with the law of the land, and with stare decisis, with precedent. And that's what I expect from them. I don't expect the Republican nominees to the court to side with the Republican Party every time, and they don't. I would like to think that the Democrat nominees would not side with the Democrat Party every time, but they seem to side with the Democrat Party every time it becomes an issue. And that is the stuff of the third world and the Democrat Party, because they're leftists. They're not even liberals. They're leftists, and that is problematic. And Darius, I am hopeful that Amy Coney Barrett will have an admirable and illustrious career as a Supreme Court justice, and that she will always support the Constitution, the law, precedent, and the United States of America. But I don't expect her to give political decisions. I don't expect her decisions to be political. But I am a little befuddled by all of this, Darius, and I'm hoping for better going forward. Question number 1 in the mailbag. Question number 2 from Blake 33. Who should be the featured entertainer at the White House Correspondents Association annual dinner on April 26th? I haven't been invited to the dinner this year. How about Volodymyr Zelensky? You know, he was a comedian. He was a stand-up comedian. And now it's pretty funny what's happened to all the money that we've sent, like $180 billion to Ukraine and all the weapons. And apparently the would-be Trump assassin in Florida was in regular touch with a Ukrainian about getting a rocket-propelled grenade to murder President Trump with, or a Stinger surface-to-air shoulder-launched missile, a man-pad to shoot down President Trump's private 757, Boeing 757. But Volodymyr Zelensky, it'd be funny to give him a chance to be a comedian in the middle of the war and everything
He might not. And I've got to say, Blake 33, Michael Piercy and I were talking about it. I like Dave Chappelle. There's Bill Burr, but he's blown himself up lately with all kinds of wacky political stuff. Bill Burr, he's been a funny guy historically. I actually had a chance when I was in my 20s to pick the White House Correspondents Association comedian, and we picked David Letterman at the time. It was a long time ago, and he declined. So we picked Jay Leno, and Jay Leno came in, and Jay Leno was, but the problem is, Blake 33, the Democrats have murdered comedy. They've murdered comedy. And so it's harder and harder. Dave Chappelle still does comedy, and he's from D.C., and I like Dave Chappelle. So that might be a good pick but I got to say, the pickings are slim when it comes to comedians. That's for sure. It's a tough one. So Zelensky might be a funny one for the White House to announce. We've invited Vladimir Zelensky because they had this radical leftist woman, racist, Trump hater that the White House Correspondents Association picked. The president of the association is a gay black man. He picked a gay black woman who's a Trump-hating leftist to be the comedian because he figured correctly that most of the audience would be right in the thick of it with her. I have one more mailbag question coming up. And I will share that with you. Always tough questions from our great listeners. Not really, everything's fine, but it's good, yeah. So who do you pick? The pickings are slim when it comes to comedy in America because the Democrat Party, the left, has murdered comedy. They don't think anything's funny anymore except murder and assassination and firebombing because they're not liberals, they're the left.
Hey, take it easy. That stuff doesn't grow on trees,
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Hey, weekend warriors. How's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
It's what people are talking about.
Did you hear about this? Vanderpump drama head. Oh, Lord.
It's what people are listening to.
So exciting. So much fun.
Do they have beef?
It's the Cumulus Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese. Weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.
There you are, Wiggin. Cheese omelet, bacon, and rye toast.
A local news source you can trust. Visit WMAL.com.
Rye toast. Rye bread, soft rye.
Your favorite WMAL shows. Access our podcast archives
What do you eat?
WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy,
75 years of opportunity,
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Join us at mda75.org.
This is Women's Work with Nicole Khalil. I would rather have the temporary pain of discomfort than the avoidable pain of regret. There are too many of us that we're waiting for someday, and the clock is ticking. Redefining what it means to be doing women's work.
Make sense of this wild, chaotic, and beautiful world and your place in it. That is women's work.
This is Women's Work from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit today'smilitary.com.
Be the first to hear what everyone's talking about.
The Grammys.
The election.
Entertainment. I don't even know what this show is, but because it's blowing up on my feed, I'm gonna have to watch. Did you watch the game though?
It's the Cumulus Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Making sense of your world on the go.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected. Making sense of the headlines, making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnese.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays noon to 3, News Talk 105.9, WMAL, making sense of the news.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
In our third and final mailbag question of the day from DWB. That's BEE, like a bumblebee. Hey, Chris. Crazy is in overdrive with these unhinged TDS folk. You know, your Trump derangement syndrome. How long do you predict it will be before these criminal leftist elites and their dumbed-down terrorist youth corps will be in Leavenworth? Seditious treason, sociopaths go to Supermax 6. It goes underground to 6 tiers. Talking about Supermax goes underground, Supermax 6. I like your optimism, DWB. I really do. I've got to say, we're in for a generational struggle here, because at least one generation, a couple of generations, have been raised to be crazy, violence-loving leftists. Again, the study that I shared yesterday, 55% of Democrats would approve of President Trump being assassinated, and he's only been shot once so far. Another Democrat trying to cut a deal with the Ukrainian to get a rocket-propelled grenade or a Stinger missile to assassinate him. The Democrats love Luigi Mangione, who assassinated, murdered a CEO in New York City. The Democrat Party is a violent party, I think it would be generous to say. Now, DWB, as to how long will it go? You know, there's news out today about how Republicans, Gen Z Republicans going to college, are feeling more and more comfortable on college campuses, and that the stigma of being conservative, being a Republican voter, being a Trump supporter on college campuses, melting away, because young people are naturally more thoughtful and intelligent than the left would have you believe, even though they're in the brainwashing and indoctrination business when it comes to certainly college campuses, and they've taken over high school and even grammar school curricula across the country, hence gender queer books on every nursery school shelf and all that. But I'd like to think that they have overplayed their hand to the point that young people are waiting. Look, I mean, I was raised in a very liberal country, and then Ronald Reagan came along. And Ronald Reagan opened my eyes and opened the eyes of millions and millions of young Americans, and then it changed the world, quite literally. Now, can President Trump survive and change the world the way that Ronald Reagan did? I think he can, but it's a fight. There is no doubt about that. It is a fight. And it's a fight for civilization, for Western civilization, for humanity. It has been engaged.
This is the Chris Plant Show.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 11:30. I'm Heather Curtis. 4 teens were arrested and charged in connection with a mass shooting in a Spotsylvania County neighborhood last night that left 2 teens and a 20-year-old dead. The 16-year-old suspect was also shot and is hospitalized. So far, they're charged with malicious wounding and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony and unlawful assembly. The sheriff's office says the shooting happened during an illegal gun sale and robbery. If you're in a rush, don't drive past a school bus with its stop arm out in Fairfax County. 50 buses are now outfitted with cameras to catch people ignoring those stop arms. A warning period goes into effect today. The cameras will start doling out $250 tickets on May 12th. Traffic and weather next.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle, founder of Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to make quality, custom-made blinds affordable to everyone. Traditional window covering retailers are expensive. Our prices are low, and our blinds are guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
Here's Steve Hirschhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
We're in the belly now on the inner loop, pretty heavy, southbound from the Baltimore-Washington Parkway down to 450 Annapolis Road. Some road work reported in that area. Southbound on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, you will find it pretty slow southbound from the Beltway down to an accident near 410 of the Good Luck Road overpass. 95 in Virginia, northbound, accident blocks the ramp to Dale Boulevard. Northbound 95, the ramp to Dale Boulevard is closed because of the accident. Southbound 95, it's bridge inspection causing delays down from 123 to Dale Boulevard, where the left lane is closed. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Today, sunny with a high of 55. Right now, it is 46 in Falls Church, 45 in Aspen Hill, and 45 degrees here in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companions for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Raise a puppy, change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
You've got to be tough.
News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
There's been so many times where I'm like, I apologize that I said that, but that wasn't meant for you to hear.
Feel you there.
How fun would it be to bring in some Bravo celebrities and make our own bracket?
Iconic.
All right, I'll take Dorinda, you take Sonia.
Sonia is who I wish I could be. You and me both.
I cannot be someone in the program. What's PTO?
Paytime love. See?
Oh.
You never had a real job.
Give them Lala.
It is nothing but honesty.
You guys know.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
Making sense of your world on the go. Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected. Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Award-winning series from Imperative Entertainment, In the Red Clay.
Before it's all said and done, more than 50 people will be dead at the hands of one man alone. The most notorious man you've never heard of.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
WMAL, making sense of mainstream media because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, we should go back to the telephones, and then I've got a terrible, awful Jimmy Fallon joke, but I'd like your opinion on this because it's not clear, it's not entirely clear whether he's calling for people to murder their own families or, they find their attempts at humor in the strangest places. But right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Donna, calling from Frederick, Maryland. Oh, Donna, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, hello, Chris. I was going to say to you, I truly believe that Democrats are going to be known for, in the annals of history, as the party of violence. And they've got a long history of it. And it's of no surprise to me that they would go after Dan Bongino just like they did General Flynn, because Dan is a smart individual. He's had his hand on the pulse for a long time. He knows where the bodies are likely buried. And criminals will protect criminals, albeit whatever party. They're going to do it. We've got insider trading happening. They don't want the information coming back at us about how the NGOs are funneling it back to their favorite politicians. Most of the American public is aware of this already. And the harder the left works at covering up, the worse it gets for them.
Well, yeah, I've got to say, on the Dan Bongino thing, it is, and on the bigger picture that you brought into it, Donna, correctly, that historically, the Democratic Party is the party of violence. They are a violent party. The Republican Party does not have a violent history. And the Democrat Party, from Jefferson Davis and their slavery and the KKK and Jim Crow and the riots of the 1960s and the assassinations of, again, 3 American presidents that were assassinated were Republicans, starting with the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, because they really wanted to keep their slaves, the Democrats. And the only Democrat president assassinated was John F. Kennedy, and he was killed by a communist or by the CIA, if you prefer. And honestly, the riots, how many? Ronald Reagan was shot. They shot at Gerald Ford twice, 2 women. One of them was a member of the Manson gang, the Manson family. Just amazing. And Squeaky Fromm. And they had Sarah Jane Moore, a housewife, tried to kill Gerald Ford, who was not really a killable guy. He was a perfectly nice guy and all that. Donald Trump has been shot. Ronald Reagan was shot. Let's start ticking off the Democrats that have been shot, because John F. Kennedy, I think, is the beginning and the end. And you had, what's his name, who was shot in George Wallace, who was shot, and he was shot by a guy who really wanted to assassinate Richard Nixon. Just amazing stuff. The Democrat Party, the violence, the riots, and they bring it back every now and then on a large scale violence across the country that the Democrats are so known for. And you're absolutely right, Donna. They should be known as the party of violence because they are the party of violence. That's how you get a reputation. And the Democrat Party certainly has earned the reputation. And Dan Bongino is today's story. Also, we've got a story. Look, the trial is going on in New York for Luigi Mangione, who they've made into a hero. They turned Joker Zarnaev of the Boston Marathon bombing into a hero on the cover of the Rolling Stone. They honestly They lionize the bad guys. They turn the bad guys into heroes, and they turn the good guys into villains. That's the Democrat Party. They're on the side of the Viet Cong during the war against the communists in the mid 20th century. They're on the side of undermining the United States, the last best hope for mankind. Even today, they're just not on the side of civilization. They do deserve. They've earned, certainly, Donna, a reputation. But because they have secured information dominance in the media and academia, and even in publishing, they clean the slate of their own deeds at every turn. Every day they wake up, and they seem to have ineffective memories as well. They're not good at remembering anything in particular when it comes to certainly their own history. And again, I pointed out before, Donna, about the Nancy Pelosi push to remove all of the racists' statues and paintings, portraits from Capitol Hill, and every single statue, bust, carving, sculpture, and painting on Capitol Hill that was removed for being racist, every single one of them was a Democrat, and virtually no news media made note of that. Pretty amazing stuff.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and Chris, you know what? One of my favorite expressions you say is, every day is an IQ test, and it doesn't take a genius to tie all these terrorist groups together. Their long-term game is they would love to have Sharia law in our country. They'd love to get rid of the Constitution. And I just want to say to Democrats that are hearing this for the first time, be glad to hear it, because it makes all the difference. And we welcome people that have differing opinions, but not to the extent that you have to be violent and you have to set people's cars on fire. Many of whom are Democrats. Sadly, I feel very bad for those people. I don't care if they have different political view than me, but the violence, that's way off in left field, and it'll be so nice when all this is righted, all these wrongs are over, and we can honestly have perhaps a more peaceful world.
Perhaps, and that is the goal, and it is a constant struggle, and has been throughout all of human history, Donna, and I know you appreciate that, but it's good against evil, and that has been the story since biblical times and before, and the battle between good and evil continues. The Democrat Party representing evil in this particular instance, as I think is plain for every school child to see.
Absolutely. And you're so good at going through history and reminding us of these things. It's important for people to know, especially our new listeners that are just now catching on, sadly, to what's been going on underneath our noses for, gosh, Chris, as long as they could probably remember.
Yeah, I think that's right. Donna, thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice conversation. And the truth counts. And again, I'm going to remind, since this is the topic, then we'll get to this Jimmy Fallon thing. But thanks, Donna. Yesterday I shared with you this new bombshell study reveals assassination culture, right? President Trump was shot. Congressman Steve Scalise was shot. These are both suicide attacks by the Democrat Party, members of the Democrat Party. And this new study that comes from the Network Contagion Research Institute, NCRI, which is affiliated with the Rutgers University in New Jersey. And NCRI study took a survey, a poll, and what they discovered is that people that identify as being left of center, Democrats, 55.2% of these people said that it's justified to kill Donald Trump. 55.2%. That's just say, well, I'm left of center. So that's every criminal Democrat. And only 48.6% of them said it would be justified to assassinate Elon Musk. But 55.2% say it's justified to assassinate Donald Trump. That's the Democrat Party today. It really is. And as they ask is it okay to destroy Tesla dealerships? Is that partially acceptable, at least partially acceptable? And 57.6% of left of center people, Democrats, 57%, yeah, it's at least partially acceptable to destroy Tesla dealerships. 55.2% it's okay to kill, to murder. That was the word they used, murder Donald Trump. And nearly as many, well, 48.6% it's okay to murder Elon Musk. Isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party is not really a civilized political party at this point. It's extraordinary. And they make it entertainment as well. Now, last night, Jimmy Fallon has a TV show. He's a lefty. They pay him millions and millions of dollars to host a television show. Very few conservatives and no conservatives on ABC, NBC, CBS, late night TV. None. Zero. Have there ever been? There haven't. No, there haven't. But last night they did a little joke. And they're saying, oh, Donald Trump, we're going to have a recession. The economy is going terrible, and it's going to be really bad for everyone. And they did a little joke, and they had a graphic up on the screen and stuff for Jimmy Fallon's TV show. It's The Tonight Show. Used to be Johnny Carson and all that stuff. And they give him the big NBC job and millions of dollars to do the Democrat Party's vicious bidding, where they laugh and clap about a CEO being assassinated by their hero, Luigi Mangione. They love assassins and murderers and the assassination culture from this organization affiliated with Rutgers University on killing Donald Trump, killing Elon Musk, burning and attacking. I mean, at what point do you say this is a terrorist organization? That's not a mock question. That is a legitimate question. But here they are last night on The Tonight Show. And you got to listen carefully, and the crowd responding. And when Jimmy Fallon does the joke, delivers the punchline, he drags his extended index finger across his throat and, sticks his tongue out like no, death to them, kill them all. And the joke is, if there is a recession, will you just stay calm and live with it? Or are you going to poison your entire family like it's Jonestown?
When asked what will you do if there's a recession, 50% said stay calm and be frugal. 50% said make my entire family special pina coladas.
Whoa! And the audience sees him dragging his finger across his throat, like kill them all, with Jonestown, mass suicide. That was racist, and it was socialist. That was a socialist utopia where they had more than 900 African Americans from the Bay Area commit suicide by drinking poison Kool-Aid. And this was a poison Kool-Aid joke. Make my entire family special pina coladas, and while you drag your extended fingertip across your throat to indicate they're all dead, and the crowd, kill the whole family if there is a recession. You people are really demented, mental, violent, murderous, bloodthirsty ghouls and jackals, Democrats. And really, they're leftists. They're not liberals. They're the left. Man, this is pretty wackadoodle stuff.
In an effort to shore up support among his followers, Jones vilifies the outside world.
Jones had said that a fascist government was going to take over and was going to throw African Americans in prison camps, much like Nazis had done to Jews in the Holocaust.
Now, that is a documentary on the Jonestown Massacre, the mass suicide in Guyana and South America. They came out of Oakland and San Francisco in the Bay Area in California. More than 900 died by poisoning. And what was his rhetoric? It's the exact same rhetoric you get from the Democrat Party today. And they're murderous, and they praise the assassin of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. They love Luigi Mangione. They've raised many hundreds of thousands of dollars for Luigi Mangione. They're sending him their underwear, the men and the women of the Democrat Party, while he's in prison. And honestly, that is a very revealing soundbite from that documentary on Jonestown and Jim Jones using an eerily similar, in fact, identical rhetoric to what the Democrat Party is using today. Hitler, Nazis, racism, the racial division, those terrible, terrible Republicans, and he was good. He was indicting the entire United States of America, and the black people, and all the people that he fed the poison to were black, virtually all of them at Jonestown. And I got to tell you, The rhetoric of the Democrat Party is more like Jim Jones and everybody's Nazis, and then they're the ones that kill everybody, of course. No sense of irony. These people. Yes, sir. I'm telling you. Who's the Jim Jones of today's Democrat Party? They all are. They are crazy Maryland congressman, the lost Marx brother. He was out there at it again yesterday. And the rhetoric sounds more and more like Jonestown. And they have suicide attackers all over the place. Baton Rouge, Dallas, Alexandria, Virginia, Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., New York City, Butler, Pennsylvania, just to name a few of the Democrat Party suicide attackers of late. And they're murderous, of course. They don't just want to end their own lives. They want to kill other people in the process. And everybody's a Nazi, everybody's Hitler. And there's the racial strife. They're all Jim Jones now.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. At seeforalifetime.org.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy, the ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to, I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection cleared. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook. Because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
Hey, I'm Reba McIntyre. In life, you'll hear a lot of people tell you that you can do anything you want. I'm here to tell you that's true. Since I was a little girl, I dreamed of becoming a successful singer and entertainer. It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and perseverance to find my success, but it was worth it. I never gave up on my dreams. Remember, you can never have a dream come true until you've had a dream. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Making sense of your morning.
Lots of coverage here on that developing story.
O'Connor and Company. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Larry O'Connor here, getting you through your morning.
Making sense of Washington.
Asking some very specific questions, some legitimate questions.
Making sense of the double standard.
And here's the latest example.
Making sense of the headlines.
Let me break it down for you, because there's plenty to break down here.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Mornings from 5 to 9. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Vince Colonnese is redefining news talk with The Vince Show.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'm bringing you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. We feature news-making interviews with the top guests on the whole planet. And I'll ask the questions you only dream of other interviewers asking. Do you like being informed, engaged, and entertained? Good. You are going to love Vince.
The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
WMAL, making sense of the border, because laws either matter or they don't. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
CNN has their polling guy. His name is not a good name. It's Harry Enton. Harry Enton. Sounds like, I don't know, breakfast Danish gone bad or something like that, you know. Don't want that. But he was on CNN yesterday and looking at the poll numbers, and they really want all the numbers to be bad news for President Trump. But Harry Enton crunched the numbers, looked at them, and he takes this seriously. Harry Enton.
I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. Do you think that he has a little too much power or not? And this is interesting. So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little. So you're essentially dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. So the idea, that argument that Donald Trump is, quote unquote, a king, that I don't think holds with the American people.
Well, how about that? Right? A soaring eagle. The Democrats, and that means the people at CNN, want him to be flailing and failing, and they're going to do everything they can to help bring that about. But Harry Enton is looking at the numbers, and also stories today on how it's becoming more fashionable on college campuses to call yourself a conservative and a Trump supporter, and that's a good thing. And I got to tell you, Michael, I know that soundbite that we played a few minutes ago from the television documentary on Jonestown, the Jonestown massacre in Guyana, where the Reverend Jim Jones, a total fraud and charlatan, a socialist, a communist, who was going to bring about a socialist utopia in San Francisco and the Bay Area, and then he decided, oh no, they're persecuting us because we're all black. He wasn't black, but most of his followers were. We're going to have to go to South America, to Guyana, where he eventually fed them all poison Kool-Aid. It was not even Kool-Aid brand Kool-Aid. It was store brand Kool-Aid. I always like to support the Kool-Aid Corporation. But this sounds like the Democrats today.
In an effort to shore up support among his followers, Jones vilifies the outside world.
Jones had said that a fascist government was going to take over and was going to throw African Americans in prison camps, much like Nazis had done to Jews in the Holocaust.
Yes, the prison camps. That reminds me of the Democrat Michael Beschloss, presidential historian, who famously said, coming up in the midterm elections in President Trump's first go-round as president of the United States, that if the Republicans won the midterm elections, they were going to arrest and kill all your children.
What was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed.
Ah, yes, sure. That was what was at stake. This is Jonestown death cult rhetoric. And I didn't even mention all the self-immolators, too, because we've had at least 7 Democrats self-immolate in the last couple of years, too. There's something wrong with these people, isn't there?
We are one nation, under God, indivisible, together.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News, I'm Heather Curtis. Northern Virginia leaders are asking the Virginia General Assembly for help to stabilize the local economy as federal cuts continue.
This is an emergency. It's a very serious issue that requires a very serious response.
Fairfax County Supervisor Jeff McKay telling a Virginia House committee the impacts of federal workforce reductions are hitting hard.
We know there are 80,000 residents just in Fairfax County that work for the federal government.
Committee Chair Republican Delegate Rob Bloxham agrees emergency state legislation is needed.
These are our friends, they are our neighbors, they are our co-workers, they are fellow Virginians.
Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
4 teens are charged following a Spotsylvania County shooting last night that left 3 dead and 3 injured.
And I heard it and I saw bullets going everywhere. Again, it's something I've never really seen. I've never experienced it.
One neighbor shocked by what the sheriff's office described as an illegal gun sale robbery situation. Another resident in the townhouse community near Fredericksburg told 7 News he heard at least 100 rounds coming from what he believed was a machine gun. 3 men were pronounced dead at the scene. The 4 suspects are all between 16 and 18 years of age. 3 are being held without bond. A 4th will be when he's discharged from the hospital. Initial charges include malicious wounding and firearm usage in the commission of a felony unlawful assembly. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
The EU is hitting back against President Trump's 25% steel and aluminum tariffs, voting today to approve retaliatory tariffs on $23 billion in goods. The EU's Executive Commission says the tariffs are unjustified and will harm the U.S., Europe, and the global economy. U.S. Trade Ambassador Jamieson Greer testifying before the House Ways and Means Committee today, saying the lack of reciprocity is a driver of the U.S.'s global trade deficit.
For example, the European Union can sell us all the shellfish they want, but the EU bans shellfish from 48 states. The result is a huge trade deficit in shellfish with the EU.
Checking your money, the Dow down 115 points, the NASDAQ up 81. Traffic and weather next.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey, y'all. As a growing family, my husband and I love game night, especially when it's Wayfair edition.
Let's do it. You got to name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now?
Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those work emails and turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companions for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Raise a puppy, change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
Here's Seaver Shorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
On northbound 95, the ramp to Dale Boulevard is closed right now because of an accident on the ramp under police direction until further notice there. Southbound 95 is pretty slow from 123 down to work zone that is south of Dale Boulevard before the truck weigh station along the left-hand side of the roadway. Interloop northbound 495 in delays from Route 7 up to the toll road where the right lane is blocked with road work. Fairfax County Parkway southbound very slow into the work zone near Pope's Head Road with just one lane getting by. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Plenty of sunshine, not as windy this afternoon with highs in the 50s. Clouds begin to increase overnight. Showers are likely tomorrow, mid-50s to around 60. Rain on Friday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, 47 degrees under sunny skies here in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. The Vince Show. Rising from the heart of the swamp, a beacon of truth is casting its light. From sea to shining sea, The Vince Show. Here's Vince Colonnese.
All right, 844-484-3872, 844 the USA. Be cool. Be cool. That's the President of the United States' message today, posted to Truth Social within the last 2 hours. President Trump saying, be cool. Everything is going to work out well. The USA will be bigger and better than ever before. The president urging everybody to just settle the hell down because today the president announced in the last 24 hours that they're upping those tariffs on China to 104%. China, in turn, this morning says they're upping their tariffs on U.S. goods to 84%. That's going to have a lot less of an impact on us, not just because of the percentage numbers, but because of the amount of goods that we actually export to China is dramatically smaller than the amount of U.S. money that's flowing into China for cheap plastic crap that's made in China. It's a big difference here. In fact, to the tune of over $300 billion is the trade deficit between our two countries. So it's pretty big, and President Trump looking to fix all of the abuses by that country right now. So he's saying, be cool, be cool. Coming up on the program today, we're going to be talking to China expert Gordon Chang in the third hour. You're not going to want to miss that as he assesses what the impact on China is going to be and sort of what the state of their economy is right now, what they can even withstand. In fact, Gordon Chang, an hour ago, posted that, quote, China is trying to create hysteria in America to get Trump to back down. Unfortunately, elements in our country, for their own reasons, are hyping the situation. Americans, we have a common enemy. So let's focus on protecting both our today and tomorrow. Be cool. Gordon Chang agreeing with the president here. Be cool. Keep it cool, everybody. What he's referencing in no small part is what we just saw this past weekend, right? We talked about it with Mike Benz yesterday. We've been listening to Victor Davis Hanson talk about this. The left domestically is trying to trying to groom its own base into revolution. They want President Trump's agenda to be stopped in its tracks. So they send out their useful idiots and their cunning political operatives out onto the streets of the United States, spreading incoherent messages that are only designed to induce more chaos in the United States in order to leave Americans with the impression that everything is chaotic.
that this isn't under control, that this isn't well considered, that this is madness that we're going through. And if they can leave Americans with that impression, perhaps they can unseat President Trump and his agenda, the one that you voted for. That's the game plan. So Gordon Chang looking at this going, they're colluding with China here. They're colluding with our adversaries in pursuit of that. Mike Benz, who assesses this from the perspective of how the intel community operates, he says this is the color revolution playbook. It's an artificial astroturfed revolution. The left is grooming people in the United States to try and stop this progress away from corrupt globalism and back to wholesome, healthy America First nationalism. That's what's happening. So the president deciding, yeah, baby, we're locking horns. We're locking horns with China here. We're going to fix this relationship. Here's Caroline Leavitt announcing yesterday these tariffs on China are jumping up now to 104%. Listen.
You mentioned the 70 countries or so. I'm curious, though, under what conditions at this point would President Trump talk to President Xi about tariffs?
Well, look, I just spoke to the president about this, and he believes that China wants to make a deal with the United States. He believes China has to make a deal with the United States. It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that Xi and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
He'll be gracious. He'll do what's best for the American people. That's the key. So, yeah, happy to have conversations. China right now trying to escalate things. And so they've pumped up their tariffs to like 84%. Remember, tariffs are not the only barriers that China imposes on the United States. It's really a lot of non-tariff barriers that are all over us. So they're stealing our intellectual property. They've been doing that for many years. They're subsidizing industries in order to hurt American industry.